Hello, my gardening friends. I'm Lisa Ann Spencer. Thank you for stopping by. I'm holding my phone. I didn't want to get out my tripod today because I thought I'd just do kind of a real quick garden collaboration. You can hear in my voice I have some sickness going on. I think I'm starting to feel better, but I've still had a terrible sore throat, and it's Memorial Weekend or approaching, and we were supposed to go out of town to Mississippi to visit family. My husband still wants to go. I mean, I want to go, but it's a 10-hour drive. Anyway, I don't want to talk about all that. Sickness changed my plans. So I was thinking if I sat here, you might be able to see my purple clematis back there behind on the fence. Not sure if you can see that. And Maria from Richardson Simple Living calls it clematis, which I'm sure is the correct way to pronounce it because it seems like we Americans don't pronounce anything correctly. Anyway, this is a part of the garden collaboration that's hosted by Victoria at Home Educating the Mad Lads and Maria at the Richardson Simple Living. They will be linked below, as well as a few other miscellaneous channels that sometimes participate and sometimes don't. So once again, the end of the month has snuck up on me, but I have done lots of things. Even we've had a lot of rain over here too, but I have been able between times to get in, do some planting. Everything here is late for me because we just moved to this house in Indiana. So I'm starting from scratch. So when you think about it, we've lived here since January, February. I've really gotten a lot done. I think my body feels it because I've been working really hard. But I'm just going to take you through and show you, what all there is to see. Before I do, Victoria, she makes me laugh when I watch her channel. I had this idea, about answering the questions so that the viewers could get to know us a little bit, garden related. So that's been kind of fun. And every time it's like, okay, what's the question for the week? Victoria, I just watched her video and she said it's, do we grow mostly edible, like vegetables or flowers? And what's our favorite thing to grow? So you'll see I do mostly vegetables. I do love to grow some flowers too, and as I'm getting older, I realize I'm spending more time on flowers each year than I have the previous year. So maybe that's just a sign of old age. I don't know, it seems like every old person that I ever knew who gardened had beautiful flowers. I think you just need to be a grandma to be a really good flower gardener, maybe. I mean, that's probably not true, but anyway, I do have a son married who one day maybe I'll get a grandbaby, and we'll see if that ups my flower growing game. What's my favorite thing to grow? I have no idea. Everything that I grow is my favorite. All right, I'm going to stop chattering away, and let's just go take a walk. All right, I'm sitting here on my back porch before I wander too far. So here is the clematis, and you see it's wilted. That's because somebody accidentally weed-eated the bottom of it. Some of it is still alive, but this one bloomed first, and you see it has all the little pretty seed pods. So, that's nice to look at. But the one on the other side of the house, I feel like I'm zoomed in. Let me make sure. Yeah, I was. No wonder. Okay, I'm going to go over here and show you these close up just because they're so pretty. These, no one weed ate it, so I'm happy about that. They're still looking pretty. This looks to be like a little bit different kind. It's a darker purple. Yeah, so again, I say those are glorious. Now look, I'm not going to walk over there, but along the fence is all my peonies. They bloomed. Yeah, I will walk over. They bloomed and faded away like within 10 days, especially the white ones. So you see here's a pink one, and it's It's got a bloom on it. And but the white ones are all gone. There's one pink one down here. So I think it must be the variety of the white ones, just they bloom quickly and they're off. So they were very pretty. We cut a few bouquets. There's actually some out there too near the electric pole. We'll walk out that way too. Let's just go ahead and do that. I don't know which way to go first, and there's so many things I'd like to show. I do want to walk around front because I have some roses up there that were growing here already, previous owner. And look, these, oh, I can never remember their names. I want to say spirea, but I love that golden color, and then the pink. Is it spirea? I'll have to look it up and maybe put it on the edit, but those are so beautiful. Here's a little miniature rose that the previous owners. The fountain that the previous owners left, which, you know, is not connected, it's just a mosquito ban right now. What are these daffodils? Looks like something's been laying on them, but there hasn't been. Tulips are all gone. This little lily thing is going to be blooming soon. And this rose, which has some new growth on it, you see is yellow. But, you see how it's fallen over there? It's just too heavy. But I had to cut it way back. Look at the size of that rose stump. But it was dead. So maybe next year it'll be looking better. This is weeds, but they were pretty, so I'm leaving them. But yeah, and my roses have faded too. I wish I would have come and videoed this earlier. But you have this lovely, very fragrant yellow rose, which I am going to call them memorial roses after my dear friend, Miss Brenda. I'm going to bend down and sniff. You got to stop and smell the roses. They really do smell good. And then back behind there is that, whatever it is, blooming and looking pretty. All right, that's really it for the front yard. The lilac across the way there, it's done blooming. And then these old-fashioned lilacs, maybe I'll get it right in a minute. It is lilac. They are just too old and spindly. So I am going to cut all of the excess around the outside. I'm going to shorten them, just chop it right off. And then all these little new shoots that are growing in between will become the new growth. I didn't want to do that earlier this year because I wanted to see what kind of shrub this was. And there's the snowball shrub, and it is recovering. And you see already some of these long, lanky things are on the ground, which I find very annoying. But anyway, next year we'll have some more blooms. It'll be pretty. All right, I'm gonna edit you fast forward. We'll walk up the hill. So here's one of the trenches. I finally got the trenches completely flattened. I don't know if that's interesting to you at all, but you know, man, I hated those big old piles of dirt. The grass is growing, though slowly. Here is the second trench. And they all go up to my barn. The third trench. This one is doing really well. And so it's starting to look nicer. Maybe some grass will be covered it next year. So, I haven't deadheaded these. Yuck. But they still have a couple of pretty blooms hanging on. And there is our chicken run, which I think I did show you guys that last month. My daughter planted a little row of flower mix. And it's cosmos and zinnia and marigold. Oh, there's a little nasturtium think it's been a little too hot. Oh yeah, and sunflowers. So we'll see how that does. I am all out of breath from walking up the hill. Ridiculous. And I think I showed you our peach trees. These strange peach trees over here. A lot of the fruit fell off. And they are buggy, wormy. I will spray them next year. But you can see, I don't know if you can, but there really is a lot of fruit on there. I'm not sure if we'll actually get to enjoy any. And I'll show you again, it is over here in the edge of the woods. It's reaching over to get sunlight. So I need to try to clear some of the trees around it if I really want any fruit. But you know what? It might not taste very good, which I can't imagine that that would be true, but oh well. So the new chickens are finally free ranging. They think I might have something, but I don't. Hello, they're all running over here. The chickens are not mine. They are my oldest daughter's. She bought them. She built this entire pen pretty much by herself with a little help. And then her 3 old girls are in that coop in the middle of right there. And then I've got some onions planted in that black container right there. Hello, chickabiddy bitties. They're not chickabiddies. In fact, a rooster crowed for the first time. One of them's a rooster, at least. We heard him crow just a couple of days ago. I do have a nasturtium in a hanging basket here. Maybe by next month that'll be blooming. I planted a couple of sweet pea flowers and only one germinated, so not sure about that. I've got sage and oregano that I transplanted here. They were in containers growing in Kentucky. So those are surviving and doing nicely. There's my romaine lettuce that I oversowed, but I have been harvesting off of there regularly. I got this one random tomato that I stuck in this empty pot. This celery is going to seed. It's got a lot of little pollinators on there. It's been real interesting. I've never grown celery before and somebody gave this to me, so I'm gonna maybe save seeds. I've been harvesting spinach. It's mostly gone. Got several little empty pots. Oh yeah, my daisy. I've been saving seeds from daisy somebody gave me some and I didn't know if it was going to come back true. So it did, so I can start saving seeds and planting those. Oh, nice little lettuce mix there. I've been harvesting every now and then. My old citrus tree from Macon, Georgia is looking kind of bad, and the nasturtiums growing under there are looking beautiful. There's some parsley. This is just an old house plant back here that won't die no matter what. So I have several little tomato plants and pepper plants here that I need to pot up into bigger pots or put out in the garden. I don't know. I've got 2 strawberry plants here. The rest of them I pulled out, and all my strawberries that were sitting around in pots like these, I transplanted them to the back. So I will show you those. Oh, these are dahlias. I bought them from the Mostly Dead aisle from Tractor Supply. And these are alliums that came from also the Mostly Dead aisle. You know, they hardly cost anything, but they're alive. So that's nice. I made a little, very small herb bed right here just to put a few things. The mint and the thyme that I brought with me from Georgia and Kentucky. And I recently just put some dill. There's some curly parsley. So we'll see. I imagine the mint will take over this whole area, and that's fine. And then I dug this whole area up by hand, which I'm going to turn into a flower bed. So, And then here is my number one garden, I guess we'll call it. Last month, I know that you couldn't even see anything coming up. Now you can see lots of grass. This first row is just a mix of several kinds of flowers. Love Lies Bleeding, Marigold, Garden Balsam. That's also called Touch Me Not. Did a marigolds, did I say that already? Cleome. Here's a Cleome. 4 o'clock. Can't believe. Oh yeah, I've got more. I was going to say, do I only have one 4 o'clock? There's another one. I saved seeds from Georgia, and my friend Sharon McEntee also sent me some seeds, so I think those are hers. Then I've got this radishes, obviously, love it here. Look at this monstrous thing. This is French breakfast. Let me put it in my hand so you can see. I mean, it's so big, and they're all like that. I'll come back and get that later. We love to grate them and put Italian dressing on them, so they're yummy. Beets all the way down. They are doing gloriously. I can't walk over there because it's so muddy. This row is mostly grass. This row right here, it's teeny tiny little carrots, and I don't think very many of them germinated. This is a pitiful row of green beans. The first half was contender, and only about 50% germinated. This is provider. They did better. So maybe I'll get a few green beans, but probably not many. This is a whole row of basil, and there are little germinating, plants all the way down. So I like to dehydrate basil and, have enough to last the year. Here's a couple of parsleys that I transplanted down here, and I also sowed some parsley, and then more beets. There are a few Swiss chard, but beets, and then some lettuce way down there. This is my Martin cowpeas, my family heirloom from pre-Civil War days. And then the fence is my money maker, my ham and gravy cowpea. And hopefully, look, they're doing great. We do have deer out here. I'm gonna fence this in, one of these days. This row is nothing. And then I did get 20 tomato plants put in, a few different varieties. And then the rest of these 3 rows are going to be tomatoes and peppers. So hopefully I'll have an abundance of those. Oh, the final paddock, I call it. We're going to have 4 paddocks for rotating our chickens through the gardens. So my husband wanted to till, so he and my daughter, Janie Bell, they got up here, and my son Gus also, they took turns, and it's a big area. I've got no plans for it right now. So we're on the back side of the barn here, and the back side of the first paddock chicken coop. So there's the chickies again in here. They come running. That's hilarious. They think I've got something. I don't. I need to check and make sure they've got feed. They're acting bizarre. All right, so anyway, the second paddock, second garden. It's completely tilled. It's halfway rowed up. I'm doing corn the old-fashioned way. It's called the Three Sisters. You do corn every other hill. It's the old-fashioned, not sweet corn, but field corn. Put 5 or 6 seeds in each hill, and then I've transplanted some zucchinis between, and I've sown some squash seeds like yellow squash, and then I've got a couple of pumpkins every other. And then once the corn grows up and is about knee-high, you can plant 1 or 2 bean seeds next to it, and the beans will run up the corn. The squash shades out grass, and I've used this method a few times, and it's worked. We'll see what happens here. Who knows. My raspberries, the first bed is really sparse. I have been transplanting in berries that's growing randomly, like way back there on the hill. The second row is very lush. I do see some, they look really small, so I'm afraid it's going to be kind of disappointing, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. So the fence, you see there's a post, and then when I turn this away, there's the gate. So we're going to have a fence that's going to come right almost along the edge of the garden there. And it'll fence in this entire section so that in about 3 months we'll turn the chickens into this section. In 3 months the corn will be big enough, the squash will be big enough, they won't hurt anything. They can come in here and eat bugs and poop, and you know, that's my plan. And then 3 months later we'll build a paddock there and rotate them through there. So that's the plan. So here is my strawberry planting from, these strawberry plants are traveling strawberry plants. I first got them from a friend in Indianapolis. I took them to North Alabama. I took them to Georgia. I took them from Georgia to Kentucky. I didn't plant them in Kentucky. And now here we are back to Indiana. So they're actually looking like they're, you know, they took the transplant pretty well. And by the way, Victoria's strawberries, oh my gosh, they look amazing. So when you watch her video, watch for that. Here's my mostly dead asparagus. I planted it in this thing to keep the deer from eating it. The plants, oh yeah, there's a new baby. I know y'all can't see that, but the roots really were like dead, but I see new growth on several of them. So I will have a little area of asparagus here. All right, is that it? I discovered a mulberry tree. Let me zoom in. I'm not going to walk over there. I'm so out of breath. Right, you can see the big fat, ooh, that's my fat finger, all the fat leaves right there. That is a mulberry tree. It also is leaning out to get sun, so I want to clear around that so we can enjoy some mulberries hopefully in the future. And like I said, that's raspberries back there. I'm going to dig those up and put them in this sparse row up here. And I think that's about it. My barn is empty of plants. My plant light is off. The temperatures are about in the 50s at night. So everything is good to go for outside. My husband is going to hook up the rain barrel for me right here on this gutter so that I can use it. You know, I can just lay a hose and water my flowers and stuff with that. And I guess that's it. Whew, okay, now I'm sweating just from doing nothing. So I'm going to go drink a cold beverage and sit down and do nothing for the rest of the day so that I can get over the sickness. There was one thing that I did forget. That second paddock, my daughter Janie Bell got some video footage of me tilling with that big giant tiller. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm just gonna pop it in here for your entertainment. So be sure to go check out the others who participate in the collaboration. And if all goes well, I'll see you next month at the end of June. Happy gardening!